So for each effect, you make a caster level check, 1d20 plus the caster level, maximum of plus 15 against a DC of 11 plus the caster level of the success. I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
I'm Nerdarchy Dave.
Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. All right, looks like we're going to talk about curses today for D&D.
Yeah, cursed magic items. We haven't talked about those in a while. So what brought us to this point?
Well, I mean, cursed magic items are one of those things that I just feel they add a layer to the game, and I just don't feel like there's a whole lot being used with them. I happen to, be organizing my gaming space, and I came across, a stack of papers from my last trip to D&D in a castle, and one of the things that was in there was a cursed magic item. I'm like, I think maybe we could kind of talk about, curses and cursed magic items and like revisit this topic, because I feel like they're weaker in this edition of the game as well as less prevalent.
Yeah. So, in AD&D was like my earliest experience with dealing with cursed magic items. And, basically back then you could, even if you were lucky enough to have a wizard in your party that had the capability to identify magic items, one of the downsides to that was you had to expose yourself to the magic item. So if it was cursed, you were going to be exposed to the curse before you got the information, because you had to handle and use the item in order to figure it out, even with casting a spell.
If you're not familiar with the earlier editions, there was no attunement. You just used the magic item or handled the magic item, and if it was cursed, identifying it subjected you to that curse.
Yeah, so I had an elven wizard who then ended up finding a girdle of masculinity, femininity, put it on, and my boy elf was now a girl elf, who then got reincarnated, and maybe they received the item after they got reincarnated, and they reincarnated into an ogre magi. And as an ogre magi, I could polymorph into any other creature, but my DM is like, you can, but it will always be the opposite gender that you were.
So I have heard countless tales and stories of, these awesome things. Now, yeah, it's probably not good for the player at the time to have the agency taken in this aspect, but there were more things. I mean, if you look at, some of the older books, it talks about, items and drawbacks. And if you look at the kind of beginning of where D&D came from with Lord of the Rings, you had the Ring of Power, which had the drawback of anybody who, saw it was basically drawn to it. There was avarice, it could be mine, it should be mine, was definitely a line. And that harkens to a challenge, something that is not just a physical threat that you can just beat your way through. So I like that aspect, and I feel like it's missing.
Well, even too, the dragon's hordes in Tolkien's stuff was considered cursed too, right? Like that's what happened to the dwarves.
Yep. Yeah, you goes further, it goes beyond the dwarves. The Battle of the Five Armies is because it's all about the horde. Like, dragon's gone, everybody knows it. People who didn't even see the horde still coveted it.
Yeah. So with that, let's look at AD&D and what were cursed magic items like then. All right, so going through the editions, pulling up some early stuff on cursed magic items in first, second edition. It was a little harder to find than I thought it was going to be, but I got something here. A simple detect magic spell yields a misleading aura and strength, often indicating that the item is a non-cursed item of similar sort. An identified spell only has a 1% chance per caster level to reveal a cursed item's true properties, including the cursed aspect. Analyze Dwemer reveals the true nature of the cursed item, which Analyze Dwemer is a much higher level spell. And, so basically in early editions, oftentimes what a cursed magic item would do is the opposite of what you thought it did. It would make you think it's doing the thing that you think it does and do nothing, or it might just affect you instead of affecting the person or the creature you want it to affect.
Now, I've definitely heard or seen things where like, oh, you find a belt of strength, and when you put it on and equip it, essentially, that's the girdle of masculinity, femininity. That trope has been done numerous times. Uh, you know. I recall in my games, and I wasn't able to find anything that specifically backed it up, but at our home table, identify a low level 1 spell would never let you know that the item was cursed, and you had to use the higher analyzed Weomer. So like if you pull out the 3rd edition book, like it was a scenario that. So Analyzed Weomer is a 6th level spell for bards, sorcerers, and wizards. So like you had to really get up there in level to be able to know whether something was cursed or not. And then if you actually get into the actual breaking of the enchantment of the curse, break enchantment is 4th level for bards, paladins, which
They were half casters back then.
right. And then cleric and wizard, it was 5th level spell. So yeah, 3rd edition had wonky where they weren't all at the same level. So you had to get much higher into the game in order to get rid of any of these kind of cursed. And even then, when you cast break enchantment, you had a chance of it working. So for each effect, you make a caster level check, 1d20 plus the caster level, maximum of plus 15 against a DC of 11 plus the caster level of the success. Success means the creature is free of the spell, curse, or effect for that item. So you could go through and each item, each effect of essentially affecting the person, you get a chance to break that. If not, you gotta wait until you can cast that again. When we look at 5th edition,
Well, real quick before we get to that, right? 11 plus the caster level. Now realize making magic items was a lot harder as well in earlier editions, so you had to be higher level to do it. So you that DC probably starts at a 20.
11 plus that, yeah, I would say 20 or higher. Getting all the way up to a 35, which that's not supremely difficult in 2nd edition, in 3rd edition, but it's certainly challenging given that particular formula.
Yeah.
So when you look in the 5th edition book, we don't have break enchantment. We've got remove curse, which is its own thing. It's a 3rd level spell. Casting time of an action, range is touch. At your touch, all curses affecting one creature or object end. If the object is a cursed magic item, its curse remains, but a spell breaks its owner's attunement to the object, so it can be removed or discarded. Period. No chance. All the effects on one dude just gone.
And identify doesn't cause you any difficulties when you're identifying a cursed item, and it will let you know that it's cursed in a lot of cases. Not all, but a lot of them.
And most things that are cursed items, like the curse does not take effect until you attune to it. Now, I still play in my games that like a 1st level identify is not going to tell you that an item's cursed. That's just, I'm sorry, it's too much for such a low level spell that can easily be gotten.
So we've already established like cursed items were much worse in previous games than they are now. We kind of established what kind of curses there are. We mentioned everything but drawbacks, where the actual magic item does what it's supposed to, but it has some drawbacks. Those are actually a lot more interesting. Where this is bad, but it also does a really cool thing that you like. How bad do you want to use it?
Right.
Which is kind of cool. Like I like those kind of items. Matter of fact, we have one in our game right now that your character has. I don't know if you went and read to see what it actually does or not.
Nope.
But it really does. Like he has a Cloak of the Hellhound. It really does what it says it's going to do. It allows you to turn into a Hellhound and probably turn back to a normal person afterwards and do cool hellhound things while you're a hellhound.
Waiting for the right moment that makes sense, either from a comedic standpoint or from a, oh, this is going to be really bad for the party, standpoint.
Yeah, which leads me into how to use cursed magic items in your games in 5e. In this particular case, either that item either didn't reveal itself when identified, or I just changed it and then like, nah, you know what? Cursed items are cursed items, and you're gonna think they're good for you because two of you's got cursed items.
Right.
You got that, and Scott's character got a luck stone,
Yeah,
and I kept calling it good luck, or calling it a luck stone.
It's a stone of ill luck.
And I never said what it actually is, and the NPC that gave it to them kept saying luck stone, and the player kept going, good luck stone, and he's like, yeah, luck stone.
It was a lot of fun. We're playing in a party full of morons,
Yeah.
and at that particular exchange, the only character with a positive intelligence modifier, player didn't make it to the table that week, so we did a bunch of dumb stuff, and that's just how it went.
Yeah. So that brings me to the first way to deal with cursed magic items in your D&D games for 5e Dungeons and Dragons, and that is just player buy-in. The players just decide it's a part of the game, and they're just going to deal with them when they happen and not use meta knowledge to figure out what's going on. And there's role playing going on in the games where like some of the characters, you're like noticing some things about the character with the luck stone going, I don't know, you're usually a better card player than this, but you keep losing all the hands. What's going on, right? And no one's like really putting two and two together yet. Eventually, like the smart character might start figuring things out, but they don't know the new character that well or at all.
I mean, to be fair, it's not at all. The smart character didn't show up the one session where the new character with the luckstone appeared, and then they flip-flopped. The smart character was there, but the character with the luckstone couldn't make it to the table that week, so he was off doing something else.
Yeah.
So you've got these situations where they're not going to cross. My character who's got the cloak, he likes the fact that it's an awesome looking cloak, which is why he's wearing it. And he's got to wait for a moment because as a spellcaster, I can't cast spells while I'm a hellhound.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a moment that makes sense. Either like I need to stand on lava, or I want to just try this out for no apparent reason.
You can concentrate on spells though while you're polymorph.
That is true.
So, and because you're using an item, you don't have to concentrate on polymorph. So, I mean, you can have
Dragon's Breath.
It could be Dragon's Breath, or you could be hasted. There's fun things you could do as a hellhound that you can't do as a player that he might decide to experiment with. But and I'll put something in there where there's fire they have to overcome. It'll be the perfect opportunity. And I don't actually remember if the items are tweak number 2, which is to just decide in your game, identify is not a power enough spell to determine cursed items. I don't remember, these specific ones, but that's the other tweak that you can do.
And that's generally the direction that I tend to go. I love the buy-in aspect. I love when players, the players themselves have knowledge and they're like, you know what? I enjoy the game enough that I am going to make this choice, once they know, all right, this is not going to be a thing that's super beneficial to you. And we've done this, numerous times throughout our games. I know Dave loves, meta-knowledging for hilarity. So we've gotten into that kind of aspect, numerous times throughout the game. So I'm all for that kind of layer. But when it comes to like putting moments out there, you want to do this with the players who are going to buy in. You want players to enjoy the game and have something on the other side. Like, okay, you've overcome this challenge. Well, what is the benefit of it? You don't want to just be like, haha, I got one over on you. Like that's not as much fun to me as a player, as the GM. So you have to make your choice for your game.
So we got 2 fixes so far. Player buy-in, just not allowing the weaker spells like identified to tell you a cursed item. And the third one, in my mind, kind of links to the second one, and that is don't allow a spell to break an enchantment that would technically be a higher level enchantment than the spell.
Mhm.
Yes, remove curse can work on curses that are equivalent to someone casting a third level spell slot or lower. Now there's a couple things you could do. One, you could just say you can upcast remove curse, and fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, whatever level you need it to be. All right, there is no level 10. In order to break a more powerful curse, or you might go, oh, you're actually going to need a great greater restoration in order to break a curse. And I think that's like a 5th or 6th level spell. It's pretty high level. And then after that, it might be like, oh, you need wish, for those in between, without like creating a new spell whole cloth or allowing, greater restoration and upcast.
Yeah, and the other thing that you've got the ability to do is, perhaps the item that's in question breaks the rules, and you don't have the ability to use a spell. For this kind of item, I would say it should have something good and something bad, similar to, the Cloak of the Hellhound. Like not just be, oh, this is all detriment. But you could have it where, like, you have to do something. There is some kind of requirement. Maybe the item requires you to complete some kind of quest or atonement or some kind of thing that is going to involve the player buy-in and add to the overall story of the game, wherein in so doing they get access to whatever it is, the true reward that you're looking to have in there. I like the layers of quests because it adds drama, it adds stories, and it adds to the satisfaction of, I had this thing and I overcame and now I get this. I think that it feels more story, and story-driven arcs are that much more fun to play with.
Yeah, like the Stone of Ill Luck, what I'll probably end up doing is give it some more backstory. They know who gave it to them. That person may or may not know the backstory. Maybe it actually was a luck stone at one point, but then something happened to curse it. And now the player can go on a quest to, one, have the curse removed from them, but two, to actually gain the luck stone, which is a really powerful item and is a great magic item. And then it also, I like putting hindrances and obstacles in the way of the players that can be inconvenient for a while, but leads to, like Ted said, greater stories at your table and, better immersive role-playing experiences. I don't like doing it just to screw the players. The reason why they got these cursed items actually had in-game reasons. The player was trying to do something. They were trying to find someone to buy magic items from. And I tend to make magic item buying in my games rare to begin with. But I'm like, you can try. And if I give someone a dice roll, allow someone to make a dice roll, it means there's a chance of something happening.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. I think dice rolls at the table matter. So this player had the roll with disadvantage and they double won. So with a double one, absolutely something is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had this happen where someone tried reading a book, that was about demon summoning that they shouldn't read either. And for whatever reason, they got to read it with advantage, I believe. And they rolled 2 20s. And I'm like, oh yeah, you definitely get information out of this book. And, in that case, like, they figured out how to summon a demon right there and then. Oops. And, they had to deal with the demon crawling out of the book. But, I love these fun things that the players decide to do at the table. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see where this leads to. And cursed items can do a lot of that as well. The idea of not attuning, but making atonement for a cursed item, where even if it's a straight up cursed item, now fixing it, makes it the thing you thought it was before, or maybe even a little better.
So that's just a lot of the fun ways that you can incorporate these into your game, add stories, and give the player something to overcome and get rewarded through. So if you enjoy all the stuff that Nerdarchy creates, you can always come check out Nerdarchy the store, as well as support us on Patreon. Links are going to be down below.
What do you think? Do you use cursed items in your games? What's your favorite cursed item story? Share with the Nerdarchy community.
While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, click on that notification bell. You know you want to.
We drop several new videos here on the channel every week, so come on coming back, but you can't wait till then. No worries, we got you covered. Check out Mage Forging, the Mage Forge, D&D magic items up here.
So until next time, stay nerdy.